Hi, my name's Summer May Finlay and this is the latest entry on my PhD blog. So I'm doing a PhD with the University of South Australia. My PhD seeks to understand the impact of the National Key Performance Indicators on the Aboriginal Community Controlled Health Service. You know, throughout my PhD process, I have been asked regularly about why I'm doing a PhD. And I know that's a standard question, but it's actually left me feeling a little bit insecure at times. And it's really made me question, why am I actually doing it? I mean, I've heard people say that, oh, well, she's not particularly academic. In other words, I'm not really going to necessarily work within an academic space. I've also had people say, you don't need it to do what I want to do, which is to work in policy and to also support the Aboriginal Community Controlled Health Services. And the amount of times I've been asked it, and people have actually questioned why I want to do it, because when they know me, they know what I want to do in my life, they don't see how the PhD actually is beneficial. I mean, there's a couple of things that I have found, even just undertaking a PhD, which have really been beneficial. So one of the things that I've found has been that people, once they hear that you're doing a PhD that don't know you, particularly as a young woman and as an Aboriginal woman, actually seem to take me a little bit more seriously. People know that a PhD is bloody hard. You don't do it unless you actually are going to put in the effort, and you don't get them without putting in the effort. So even just the mere fact of doing it has meant that people are more inclined to listen to what I have to say. And that's really important when I'm advocating for the Aboriginal sector. I'm not actually caring about me and myself, Summer May Finlay. When I go out, I'm not going to tell people, by the way, I might be Dr. Finlay next year, although I do remind my family that sometimes, just because I can. But it is really important when you work within a system like with government, where it's based on hierarchy. I've also started a PhD because I love learning. I have started looking at doing a Juris Doctor when I finish the PhD, because I'm thinking, oh, I've only got like 6 to 8 months left on this by the time I submit and blah, blah, blah. I just want to keep learning. There is so much knowledge in the world. And the other thing is that I mentioned today during an interview that I was doing for my PhD that there isn't a lot of peer-reviewed literature about the Aboriginal sector. It is something that we probably don't do particularly well. I think it's partly because we actually are so invested in delivering for our communities that we don't think about the benefit of peer-reviewed literature. And we also sometimes don't feel like we've got the capacity to do it. So a lot of mob in our sector don't have formal experience at uni. They may not know how to write at that level. So I think that by me being able to work with the Aboriginal community controlled sector and talk to them about what's happening with the indicators means that I can actually put some stuff into the peer-reviewed literature, which means it's no longer anecdotal evidence. And the other reason I wanted to do it is because I want to be Prime Minister one day. And how cool would it be to be Dr. Finlay as well as Prime Minister Finlay? I mean, seriously, surely a PhD's got to help me get to be Prime Minister, right? Anyway, I just wanted to put it out there that when you're doing a PhD, you do it for a range of reasons. You do it not just to advance your career, but you also do it for you personally. And you also probably do it for the work that you're interested in doing, whether it be cancer research or whether or not you're looking at large data sets and doing data linkage. I mean, you don't just do it for the title doctor. You don't just do it for community. You don't just do it for yourself. You actually do it for all of those reasons. And I know I felt very challenged because I'm also doing an applied piece of research. I'm not doing a theoretical piece of work. And there is this misconception that you actually need to be doing a theoretical piece of work to qualify for a PhD. Well, quite frankly, I'm not interested in adding to the theory when there is so much that actually needs to be told and actually done to show what works or what isn't working within our communities. So for me personally, it took me a long time to be able to stand up to people and say, hey, theoretical PhD might have been great for you, not so good for me, and not so good for what I want to achieve. So essentially, all I wanted to say is whatever you're doing a PhD for, and also how you're doing it, is really up to you, and you don't have to play by other people's rule book. Anyway, thank you.